Hey everybody, DIY Dad here once again in the garage. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to work on a project that has been waiting in a box in my garage for 6 months. And we're going to install these LED headlights from TricLED on my 2021 Can-Am Spyder F3T. I've wanted to do this project since I bought the thing, but I also really like driving my Spyder, so I haven't been willing to take it apart enough to do this, but tonight's the night. So this is the light we're going to be installing. This is an LED unit that's sold by TricLED or Sling Mods. It has a built-in driving light that also functions as a signal. And I'm going to be putting this on a 2021 Spyder F3T. So we're going to follow the version of this install that applies to the 2019 Plus, which requires that you've taken the signal from the front fender and you've already used their fender wiring harness to bring that signal into the bike. You will have to do that if you want to be able to use this turn signal, because that's the only place you can get it from on this particular model. For the purposes of this video, I'm going to assume that you've done that. If you're curious about the process of installing that wiring harness, check the description of this video. I've actually done a video on how to do that one as well. So if you haven't done that yet, do that and then come back. So the first part of this install is going to be pretty self-evident. We have to get in here to this headlight. So there's some stuff we're going to have to take off. This piece has to come off, and in order to get to that, we've got to pull some things on the side. So we're going to be taking a few pieces off of this bike. We're going to start with the easy ones and work our way in from there. So I'll pull the service covers, these guys off, and then we'll pull the side fairings off. And then we'll take a look at where that leaves us. I know that in order to get into all of the mount points that we need to get into, these sort of wedge-shaped pieces are going to have to come off as well. And a part of the mounting for those is behind this. So the dash bezel is going to have to come out. So I'm going to take a few of these bits off, and then we'll take the next step. So I'll take surface covers, side fairings, probably the dash bezel. I'm going to hold off on this guy just for the moment though. Left-hand panel is removed. We'll remove the right side as well. Just for instructive purposes on this, there are 4 screws. They're T25. You'll find them here, here, and then 2 under the side here and here. And then under the service panel, there are these 3 clips that you have to remove. And then this whole piece will just sort of lift up and kind of like tilt out a little bit and come free. And you can set that aside. After we take both of those off, we'll need to pull the nose cone. To get the nose cone off, you have to open up the trunk and then pull this access cover off, which just has a pressure clip or a little pressure peg here and here. So you can kind of like pop that up and the whole thing will pull free. And that'll give us access to the T25 screw that's right here that holds the nose cone in place. Now this nose cone also has a little captive kind of clip back here. So to get access to that, we're going to have to pull off the mirror covers. These are just pressure clipped. There's a set of clips kind of go around this, so you can just sort of grab onto this and you should be able to work it free. Can't really do that with one hand, but it will pull free. There's no screws or anything like that. So here's the inside of that mirror cover, and you can see there are 2 clips on the back, and then there's a receiver for the clip. So you've got a contact point here, here, and there. I found it was helpful to sort of grab it and pull like this. That popped it loose the easiest for me. Once that's removed, you can see this little peg right in, sorry, getting the angles weird, right in here that's holding that nose cone on. So once the screw's out, you'll be able to kind of flex the nose cone out and pull that free. All right, nose cone is removed. I will say with this little bolt that was down here on the bottom, be very careful with the nut that's on the back side of that. There's a nice gap here where that can fall down, so keep a good grip on it when you pull it out. I used a 9/16 box wrench on this side and then a T25 on this side to pull that out. And that gets us access to 3 of the 4 mounting points for the headlights. There's one down here, there's one right up in here, one there, and unfortunately one here, which means we have to pull this piece off. Now this piece is the one that wraps around and does this kind of vent right here. It's where I've got my little side vent LEDs installed. And this piece is a bit troublesome to get off. Now the proper way to do this is to take this fully off, because there is, I believe, a cable that we have to get to, but I'm gonna see if we can do this without. So initially what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull this body clip that's right in here, and I'm gonna pull this one that's right down here. And we're gonna see if we can just kind of flex this piece out of the way enough. There is a pressure clip under here, and then there's the really kind of crazy pressure clip here. And you have to take this entire piece to remove it, and you have to hinge it out and kind of flex it quite a bit. And then this one is going to remove with a loud bang, which is going to make you think you broke this piece. So it's meant to do that. It goes in a lot softer, but when it comes out, note that will be a problem. Either way though, in order to even try to flex this and get a look underneath it, we have to take off the radio bezel. This frame here just has a couple pressure clips, so you can kind of get a grip on it and pull it free and pop it out all the way around, and then this will come free because this piece goes kind of up underneath it. So this is holding this captive right now. So I'm gonna pull this off. I'll pull those two clips and we'll see if we can flex this out enough to get access to what I need to get access to avoid having to take it off, because that loud bang is not something I really want to deal with. Okay, so looked into it, and you do actually have to pull that piece off. It wasn't as bad as I've been led to believe, so with it released, just sort of pull it straight this way. So kind of hinge it away from the bike, and it'll pop loose. It's this guy right here that makes the big noise. And then there's a little odd little clip at the end of that panel that feeds into this crack. So it pops loose and then pulls straight out. Not too bad once it's done, but that does have to be done in order to get access to this. This is the screw that they use to aim the factory headlights, so that you can actually pitch them up and down a little bit. The new ones have a shim, so we don't actually need this, but since it's tied to the back of the light, we have to remove it. Otherwise, this braided cable that you can kind of see in here is going to stop us from pulling the light out. So I'm gonna pop this off. It's just a kind of little captive nut, and then that'll slide or go straight back through. And then that can feed out, and we'll be able to pull our already very loose headlight out of the bike. So just to show what this piece is like to remove, I have the two clips removed from the front. So what you do is you take this and you kind of hinge it out from the bike like this, and you're gonna pull straight this way. It's just like this, and it will pop and pop right out of there. So again, makes a fairly loud pop, but that's to be expected, and that's supposedly just very intentional. You can kind of see the little tab here at the end that threads back in like this so that it can hinge back. So just loosen or take out the two body clips on the bottom and grab onto this and pull it straight out like this, and that'll pop it free. And then installation is going to be the reverse. Its stock headlight is removed from the right-hand side of the bike. Pretty simple affair. I can see the little alignment cable. It just pops straight out of the back. So once you have the captive little clip off there, you just push it straight in and this will come loose. The standard light has just your regular bulb socket here for the halogen light that's on the inside. That is replaced on the LED light by this pigtail. So that'll go into your stock harness. And then this guy is going to attach to the adapter that comes with the kit, which hooks into that fender wiring harness that you have to install. So the guys at TricLED actually do an amazing job with this stuff. This is a super self-explanatory wiring harness. You've got your plug and your little pigtail connection. Those will obviously connect to the relevant plugs here. And then as it goes down, this plugs into the cable coming off of the harness adapter. It's already pre-wired, and then you have an extra plug here if you have any other accessory LEDs like I do on the side. So for my side vent light, I'll just run that back to the harness adapter, unplug it there, move that plug up to here. Everything else is already pre-wired in for you and ready to go. Okay, new headlight is installed, but we do have a problem. My kit came with the screws to install this in this little baggie and that one. What it didn't come with is the shims that I need in order to actually aim the headlight properly. So I did a little test, and I'll show you this, but with it turned on, this new headlight all screwed in is lower than the stock one. It's actually down quite a bit. which is going to obviously affect my visibility a bit. So I'd like to be able to put the 2 shims underneath to bring that up so that it points the way I believe that it needs to. So I'm going to talk to TricLED tomorrow and get a feel for how wide or thick those shims are, and I'll just run to an auto parts store or home improvement store and just grab 2 little nylon deals that I can put in place just to line that back up a bit. So a quick run over to Home Depot, turned up these flat washers. They're just nylon little 1/4-inch washers. It was $1 for 4 of them. I bought several packs, and looking at it and kind of adjusting and playing with the one that I've already installed, I'm doing 3 washers under each of the bottom screws. So you can kind of see how that is. So 3 washers here, no washers up there, causes the light to go like that. Looking at it at the garage, I would actually probably like to go to a 4th, but with the longer screws that they even give you with these headlights, that's as far as I can go and still get purchased enough to thread them in securely. So we'll go with the 3 and call that as good as it's gonna get. And I'm gonna do the other side, and then we'll get her buttoned up and we'll be done. One thing I do wanna note, however, is the wiring that comes out of the back of the light itself, specifically for the light bulb plug, is a little bit loose. The plug doesn't actually attach very securely, so I did end up on this one wrapping that with electrical tape just to keep both the plug itself kind of intact and then keep the 2 of them bound together, because I found with very minor vibration it actually would just pop apart. So I got that all tightened up. That's the only problem I've had with this kit so far. So we'll do the same thing on the other side and we'll take a look at the end product. I guess another little tip for you. So I've got my cables sort of zip tied back here just to keep them up and out of the way. You can see the connection for the headlight as well as the connection for the DRL waiting here. And when you go to put the shims in, this screw back here is the hardest one to get to, just proximity where it is. So what I'd recommend doing is take your light housing and run the screw through the back of the housing, put those little shims on it, and kind of hold that in place and bring it with the shims and everything, and thread this hole right here first. So the inside bottom screw. Get that one in place, then do your shimmed one for the back one. And then once those are just sort of loosely threaded, you can do the top ones and then tighten everything down. So as you can see, everything is put back together and works beautifully. So this is the lights as they are when you have the key on, but the bike not started. So it has just the DRL and then of course the fender lights as well. Everything color matches, looks really nice. These lights switch to kind of a strobing light when you turn the signal on, which I'll show you in a second. As far as reassembly, everything is just the reverse of how you took it apart. So basically do your same steps backwards and it should go back together a whole lot easier than it came apart. I'll show you the lights real quick just by hitting my hazards here. So the driving lights switch into a sequential thing that matches with the blinker as far as timing goes. I'm going to do a bit of a comparison video on what this is like on the road, both with the stock headlights and the aftermarket headlights. That'll be on my channel in just a few moments. And then I've got some other sort of shots and videos comparing what the throw looks like and what the aesthetic of this is. But I got to get this thing on the road and do a test. So before I do that, I owe you all a dad joke, as this is the end of one of my DIY dad videos. And I'm going to use the one that is the current favorite of my 5-year-old. So what did one stoplight say to the other? Stop looking at me, I'm changing. All right, that'll wrap us up from the garage. Remember, with any DIY project, the most important step is just to do it. It doesn't have to be perfect. People aren't going to see the flaws unless you point them out to them. Those of you on motorcycles, ride safe. Catch you in the next one. I got to get this thing on the road. Take care.